Hey guys, well I sold the motor out of this CB450 here and I need to take it out. It's a parts bike. The motor's free. It's going to need work, but it is free. So let's get to it. Maybe. If somebody wants to wrap them, they're still usable. Or get them re-chromed, which I don't recommend because that's expensive. Okay, so we got everything loose that we need to, except for these two bolts right here. There's one here and one here. Those are engine mount bolts. Now in the past I used to do these by hand. The motor is liftable by one person. You know, you're not going to move it far, you're just kind of lifting it out of the cradle and moving it over. And you can basically sit on the seat and do that. But as I get older, I've noticed that I've not been able to do as many things as I used to be able to do by hand, so I've started just, you know, figuring out ways to do this as I get older that I can still do it. And this is one of those things. So I got my chain fall here set up on the scaffold that you saw in a previous video, and I'm going to use it to lift the motor up just a little bit to take tension off the bottom mounts, and then I'll also use it to sort of be a steady as I manipulate the motor out of the frame. A lot of guys will also put a flat jack underneath, one of those little scissor type motorcycle jacks, and that will lift the pan up a little bit, and that'll also take a little tension off of the mount bolts down there. Any way you want to do it is fine. I'm going to try this because if I can do it with this engine, then I know that I can at least try to do this with a big V-twin. I've got a Magna that I've got to get a motor out of, and that's got a huge motor in it, huge V-twin in it, 1100. So I'm going to try this. I've never done it this way before, but we'll give it a shot, see what happens. Alright, so basically with these motors you've got a central area right through the middle that you can put a bar, and that's real nice if you got two people, because you can get a person on each side of the bar. Two people aren't here. So what I'm going to do is right through this gap here, I'm going to put a shackle and a chain hooked up to my chain fall. I'm just going to lift up just a little bit to get tension off. I'm going to get the bottom mounts out, and then we're going to use the chain fall and my hand on the other side to manipulate the motor out. Okay, let's get going. Okay, we've got a little tension on there. Get a punch, and we're going to punch those bottom long bolts out. Well, now I got to get now I got to get a punch to punch my punch out. One flew out on the other side. One's still hanging on. We can pull that out. We got both of those long bolts. Okay, now you can see there's tension on there. It is holding. Let me bring it up just a little bit. Now, you'll notice that you only got, get you centered there, you only got a little bit of space here between the frame and the thing. So what happens is the motor kind of tilts this way and then kind of falls out. That's the way it normally happens. So let me get on the other side and see if my little system here will work. Forgot one thing here. That's gonna mess me up too. I forgot the this right here, tachometer cable. So let me get that off of there, because that is gonna bind up. All right. Now I'm gonna use the chain fall to help me, and just like that. I hope the camera was on. Okay, so now the motor's free. I can pull the frame out of the way, whatever I want to do. As you can see, it is completely free. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set it down on this board here. Now the one thing about using the chain fall though is that once it's tight, it wants to stay where it is. So that's the one bad thing about it. I'm sure you guys that worked on car motors know the same problem, is that they're not as maneuverable as, say, like an engine jack. That's why engine jacks work better than just a straight chain fall, because you can move them around. Once you get this tension on this thing, at least in my situation, it's a little hard to move around. However, I do want to put some sort of tracks up here. And I kind of been thinking about a couple different ways of doing that. I'd like some way to slide it side to side and also lengthwise. Lengthwise is pretty easy because they've got these rails that have this little lip on them. I'm sure we can get some sort of skateboard wheels or something like that to go in that lip. That'll work. Now the side to side I'm not so sure about, but not as important. Alright, let me get this engine set down and we'll end this video. There we go. Alright guys, I appreciate you watching, and subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of content. For you guys that are waiting on the Trident motor, I have not finished the teardown on this assembly or teardown of the Trident motor. The problem I've been having is that we've had a lot of rain here lately, and where I'm working, the roof overhead when it's raining, it sounds terrible on camera. It's too distracting. So this is kind of the first day in a while that I've either had free to do some of this kind of stuff, or it hasn't been raining. Other thing is, I just broke 100,000 views full all time. That to me is a pretty big deal, and that's supposed to be unique views. So to think that, you know, 100,000 people, even 50, even if everybody watched it twice, 50,000 people have watched my videos and watched me, you know, dick around. It means a lot. I really appreciate it, and I hope you consider subscribing if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.